One publisher told me that their number one customer was a gas station, for example. I wouldn't have thought to go after that. Maybe I'm not very good at my job, but we all grow and change and learn.
We still don't sell a lot of books to gas stations, so I guess you didn't learn.
Close-minded, I see.
Or we just maybe don't publish the books they want.
We're just
one way or another.
Too didactic, I guess, Maybe we can stock them up on Bikeonomics, like all their customers have something to learn from that book.
Here's why not to buy gas at this establishment.
So that is not an effective sales pitch. Let's just be very clear.
Hi, I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 28 years.
I'm Elly Blue, the Vice President of Microcosm. We started this podcast to share what we've learned with newer publishers, so you can learn from our mistakes. Or maybe you just want to learn about the publishing industry.
This week, we are going to answer a reader question, and the reader might be Elly, but I honestly can't remember at this point.
I am a reader.
Because months have gone by. And
just to clear that up.
Dispute acknowledged. And that question is, what is the difference between gift and specialty sales?
Ooh, Joe, this seems like a topic that you not just know a lot about, but are perhaps an expert in. Can you share more?
I have been posed this question off the podcast at least dozens of times, sometimes a lot of times in bad faith. And plenty of other times as general curiosity. A lot of people do read the book and then ask, what is the difference? Which I feel like, I don't know, maybe they should read the book again, but anyway.
Can we start with, some big picture context?
Sales are when...
Books. How are most books sold?
Ooh.
Or how do most publishers focus on selling books?
I was going to say those are two very different questions.
Thus, this topic.
So, the biggest misnomer, I ran into this at a board meeting this summer where people said, oh, well, since most books are sold on Amazon, and I said, most books are not sold on Amazon. Most ebooks are sold on Amazon, but not most books.
I hope you said to them in a professional context.
Well, I don't know. I'm very...
I guess I actually don't hope that you did that.
Very professional. So, and I think that's the big rub, is the misconceptions about this are weird. Most publishers think of some combination of book retail, meaning bookstores, and Amazon as where they sell books, so that's where they market to, versus the much larger arena of where books are actually sold is, in other kinds of retail.
So not in bookstores.
Correct.
Not on Amazon.
Yeah, non-bookstore retail.
How would you describe the size of the bookstore market comparatively?
I would say, including Amazon, I would say the bookstore market is probably 50 to 60% of books sold.
What if you don't include Amazon?
Amazon is the biggest chunk there, so I would say then it's 25 to 30, wow, give or take. So Amazon is considerable, it's just not considerate. But more importantly, you're still missing the majority of book sales, So most books are sold in other kinds of independent brick and mortar retail. Think about it like this. Most people think about the 2,700 or so bookstores in the United States and then think of that as a big juicy market.
And we love them. No shade on them.
But when you consider that against the 1 million or millions, there's literally not even statistics kept on this of general independent other kinds of retail. And, and this is a fastest growing segment of the economy in the United States is the store down the street. And it could be any kind of store and, pay close attention. Are they selling books? What kind of books are they selling? Why are those books in that store? You will quickly lead yourself to a path. Our industry is run by billionaires and conglomerates.
At Microcosm, we wanted the freedom to independently sell our books, easily pay royalties, manage our inventory, and understand our business all in one place.
That's why we've been using our own software since 2001.
Now, we want to share it with you.
Working Lit is the only business success software that is created and owned 100% by publishers for publishers.
Join Working Lit and get the agency you need to help your business grow.
Visit workinglit.com to try it for free. What is an effective sales pitch for a specialty market, you ask? Wait, your actual question is, what is a specialty market?
Yeah, now we're getting to the reader question.
Do I have to do both of our jobs? I see. Well, here we are. So a specialty market is somebody that uses books to push their mission statement. So that could be like, a typical one would be like a yoga shop that sells yoga books or books about body work, or just kind of like, I don't know, a lot of the yoga shops sell like aspirational wealth, quote, self-help kind of books. So, but that's sort of their brand. That's their mission. If it can be for like everybody to wear clean white robes and, look like they've never...
All right. Enough with the anti-yoga prejudices. Let's move on to, what are some other kinds of specialty
I thought that was
stores?
the focus of this program. And so, similarly, like a gas station would be considered a specialty market. They have, as much as you may not think of a gas station having a mission statement, they do at their core, and that's what makes them work,
What kind of books would a gas station sell?
Typically it's local interest or regional interest titles, or, they're not often selling books about gas. They're often selling books about the immediate region. And that could be for people that are from there or not from there, and then similarly, like a drugstore would sell books, also typically not about drugs, though sometimes, but also more typically regional self-help, local interests. Often drugstores, confusingly, are really interested in local history, which, I don't know, maybe that says something about the age of their typical customer.
I think the local history publisher just is really good at selling to them.
No, I think, even if they were really good at selling to them, they wouldn't stick. They wouldn't continue to stock them years later.
Fair enough.
So it kind of means that their customer is 70 plus.
So some other kinds of specialty stores, like record stores, grocery stores.
Oh, I see you do know more about this than you've let on.
I mean, what else? This is a prompt for you.
Hardware
Showcase your knowledge.
Stores is a big one.
Gardening.
Yeah, like nurseries, and not kid nurseries, but plant nurseries. That's a really juicy one. Therapists are, believe it or not, a great special sales market. Therapists, while generally confused about copyright laws, are very good at wanting to have resources available, and it does help them manage their clients. And I mean, it's like once you start thinking on this tip, the sky is the limit, but it's like a specialty store is defined by somebody who uses books to advance their mission statement. So that has to also be how they're buying and selling books. A smart one would use, like an herb store would use books to be like, okay, this is what we're about. We believe that these are healing herbs, etc., etc. You can make these compounds, etc.
All right, so then what is a gift store?
A gift store is an impulse sales venue. You kind of wouldn't know what you're going to find going into a gift store. You would know that obviously there are things that are suited to being impulse buys and gifts, but they're not thematically tied to the mission statement of the retailer. So if you went into a gas station and they sold like I don't know, things that had no, if they sold like music books, or if they sold, books that just didn't really belong there, like baseball,
coloring books for kids.
Yeah. Right. Children's is a big one in gift.
So I guess at a gas station, they'd have like the backseat kids books, like books about games and things to keep kids happy. That would fall under their mission.
Yeah. Books for games for kids. Yeah. That would be a good specialty retail for if you're listening out there, gas stations. There's a car wash that is a specialty retailer and buys like a specialty retailer, but does stray into gift periodically. And I really would love to visit the gift shop at this car wash, because the whole thing, it's just so...
We should go on a tour.
Yeah, visit them all. And gift, the most typical gift customer is like a boutique, typically owned by like a middle-aged woman who, likes to get drinkies after work and, is into sort of the lifestyle projecting of what a gift store means and shows, and typically sells clothing, typically sells a range of items, and they really think of their curation more as the skill and the talent versus a specialty store that's all kind of predefined. Like maybe there's some experts in the field, like they wouldn't sell books where the information is questionable, but in general, if you're a brew shop, you're going to sell books about brewing. You're going to have the like 3 or 4 solid brewing titles. You're probably not going to sell books about baseball, statistics, history, even though there's significant segmentation crossover in your clientele.
And honestly, like, I feel like a brew pub probably wouldn't even buy like the jokey book about beer, like beer joke. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, unless it was more of a gifty shop.
And we run into that a lot too, where even just like books about wine, the wineries are just like, can we get some more serious books about wine? And you're like, how serious do these things need to get?
Wineries are like half and half. This is super interesting. I've been doing a deep dive on our account segmentation recently, and about half the wineries out there, they buy super specialty. They buy about wine, they buy about France, they buy about cheese and charcuterie, like things that are kind of elevating that experience for people who love wine. And then the other half buy like the Stoner Babes coloring book and like books about how tiring it is to be a mom.
Oh, that's like jokey whiny cartoons. I get it.
Whiny books, yeah. And books that are like kind of, I mean, and it's not that it's not advancing their mission, but I feel like it's advancing in a different way. Like it's less about subject matter expertise that it's playing into, and it's more about like the experience that they want you to have from their brand.
Right.
Of like having a relaxing, lighthearted evening.
We built this software from scratch to solve our own problems starting in 2001.
It's not only the reason for our survival, but the reason we've been a Publishers Weekly fastest growing publisher 3 years in a row.
Now we want to share it with you.
Join Working Lit and get back the agency to understand your publishing business, market and sell your books, and painlessly pay royalties.
Working Lit, doing the math for publishers.
Visit workinglit.com to give it a try for free.
I think this ties into the bad faith question, where I don't know if people intentionally misunderstand this or if it's a genuine misunderstanding, but gift is you're selling based on the blueprint of who your customer is, and you can run the range of their interests. Versus special sales is you're selling around your own mission statement and books that advance your mission statement, and use books differently in using the retailer's story in terms of explaining your curation.
Wait, what's the bad faith part?
The bad faith is a lot of people tend to think that these two are indistinguishable, gift and special sales, when I feel like they could not be more different.
Yeah. I mean, you walk into the store and you immediately know which one you're in most of the time. I mean, like plenty of stores blur the line. Like we blur the line as publishers.
Well, but our role is different in that.
That's
equation.
true. But, like I think about the amazing Boo Boo Records in, what town is that in? Santa Barbara?
San Luis Obispo,
California. And like they buy books about music, but they also buy funny gift books. And they like understand that their customers are a mix of like people that are in their to increase their knowledge and nerdiness about music, and tourists that are in there and are going to gravitate towards the thing that pops off the shelf as like a funny impulse buy.
Right. And so they buy more like a gift retailer within a specialty retailer, and that's a really interesting thing too. So the important thing for you to understand, this is not just an academic exercise as much as it is an academic exercise, is that those stores buy differently and they use the books differently in the retail story. So you want to know which is which because it will change how they buy and what they buy.
How would you approach like a specialty store versus a gifty store? Say you were going down your list of wineries and making sales calls.
So if I was selling to a winery, I would say we have these 10 best-selling books about wine, and that's kind of all they need to know. And then I would leave space for them to ask questions and like hear their pain points and concerns. And, you know, a lot of times a store will kind of shoot back with like, oh, we don't sell books, or we tried books before and it didn't go very well. And to which I would say like, okay, I mean, are you interested in increasing your average ticket sale per customer? If so, I would check these out. And if you could trust my recommendations, like we won't stick you with anything that won't sell. And that will tend to relieve it. You know, they tend to buy based on, you know, what they perceive to have worked in the past. And, you know, if the wine store wants to buy impulse gift items, or maybe they say, like, we have a lot of families that hang out here, I would be like, okay, well, maybe you should get some stuff for the families that hang out there then, instead of getting stuff about wine. Like, maybe wine books are not right for your store. And versus in gift, I would say, like, these are great impulse buys. You know, here's our top 25 titles that have worked for stores like yours. And then similarly listen and respond to their pain points and look at it from, you know, what the situation is, or, you know, at least perceptionally in their store. Because a lot of times that's the actual hurdle, is we tried this before and it didn't work, you know, and so you have to sort of help them work through why that didn't work.
It's really interesting. I'm signing us up for a gift and specialty B2B selling platform, and one of their required fields for every product is color.
Color is a big one in gift.
Color is not something that appears in book metadata for the publishing industry, despite you know, bookstores being...
Well, book people just aren't that colorful, I have to say.
But, like, with gift, you know, we'll have customers, like... And I get it. I see people, like, kind of going through our catalog unfair visually and, like, picking all these books that are, like, teal and placing them together. And it matters slightly less what they're about and more about how they're going to fit into their display. So it's worth considering those things, too.
I think, does this store care about color? If so, it is probably a gift shop. Also, versus if it is a specialty store, they probably don't care about color.
My like easy rubric is, do they buy coloring books? Yes or no?
Well,
if they do, they're probably gift.
Right.
Unless it's like coloring books about that subject matter, then they might be specialty.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.